were many influential individuals who led the abolition movement in early America. They all had one goal: to emancipate slaves. However, their views about how to obtain this goal were very different. Some wanted to do it peacefully, while others resorted to violence. Quakers were one of the first groups of people to oppose slavery. They were devout Christians who disagreed with slavery because it contradicted the message of the Bible. One famous Quaker and abolitionist was George Fox. The abolition movement really began to ignite in 1829 with David Walker's publication of The Appeal. It was considered the most radical anti-slavery document of its time. The Appeal aroused fear in white Americans and caused a stir among slaves. A quote from The Appeal: "Some of you on the continent of America will yet curse the day that you were ever born. You want slaves and want us for your slaves. My color will yet root some of you out of the very face of the earth." David Walker.
The drinking gourd leads the slaves away.
William Lloyd Garrison had a different approach to ending slavery in America. He had a philosophy called moral suasion. He believed he could preach his message of nonviolence and people would see that slavery is wrong. In 1831, Garrison began publishing a weekly newspaper called The Liberator. This paper was the first one of its kind and uncompromisingly advocated the complete emancipation of all slaves in the U.S. Garrison is also partly responsible for the establishment of the American Anti-Slavery Society in 1833. This quote from William Lloyd Garrison shows how strongly he wanted people to fight for abolition. Another famous abolitionist is Frederick Douglass. He was a former slave who could give a new perspective to his audience. He had first-hand experiences of slavery and could personalize slavery for his audience. He wanted to emancipate slaves through more peaceful methods. He spread his message through lectures and pamphlets. His quote, "If there is not struggle, there is no progress," states the beliefs of many abolitionists. Isabella Baumfree, better known as Sojourner Truth, was also an influential voice during the abolition movement. She was a pacifist and, like Douglass, a powerful speaker. She spoke about racial slavery as well as women's rights. Simply put, she states, truth is powerful and it prevails. Other peaceful women abolitionists included the Grimke sisters, who were Quakers. They were educators and writers who spread the anti-slavery message throughout the North and South. There were some abolitionists who took a less peaceful approach towards ending slavery. Harriet Tubman was a runaway slave from Maryland who became the conductor of the Underground Railroad. She became known as the Moses of her people. During a 10-year span, risking her own life, she led hundreds of slaves to freedom along the Underground Railroad. Tubman even carried a gun, which she threatened to use on any slave wishing to turn back, telling them, "You'll be free or die." She cared passionately about her freedom and the freedom of her people, as heard in this quote.
From winter to spring, follow the drinking gourd.
I had reasoned this out in my mind. There was one of two things I had the right to: liberty or death. If I could not have one, I would have the other.
Follow the drinking gourd. Follow the drinking gourd. For the old man is waiting for to carry you to freedom.
Nat Turner, a slave from Virginia, led the biggest slave rebellion in American history. He was a Christian who believed that he was destined to be the Moses of his people. He was guided by his spiritual beliefs, as seen in this quote from his narrative. "I saw white spirits and black spirits engaged in battle, and the sun was darkened. The thunder rolled in the heavens, and blood flowed in streams." Nat Turner. On August 20th, 1831, Nat Turner led a group of slaves to his master's house, where they killed his family and then went house to house, killing other whites. Turner was eventually captured and hanged on November 11th, 1831. John Brown was a white abolitionist who vehemently opposed slavery. He became the leader of anti-slavery guerrillas and killed many people in Kansas and Missouri. On October 16, 1859, he and 21 other men raided the federal arsenal at Harper's Ferry. Before hearing his sentence, he made an address to the court. Now I've deemed necessary that I should forfeit my life for the furtherance of the ends of justice, and mingle my blood further with the blood of my children, and with the blood of millions in this slave country whose rights are disregarded by wicked, cruel, and unjust enactments. I submit, so let it be done.
Follow the drinking blood.
One of the most important and influential leaders of the abolition movement was Harriet Beecher Stowe. She was a white author and abolitionist from Connecticut. In 1852, she published a shocking novel about slavery called Uncle Tom's Cabin. It revealed the cruelty and inhumanity of slavery. This book caused many Northerners to join the fight against slavery. This quote shows her dedication and strength regarding the abolition movement. When you get into a tight place and everything goes against you, till it seems as though you could not hold on a minute longer, never give up. Then, for that is just the place and time, the tide will turn. Harriet Beecher Stowe.
There is a time from
When Harriet Beecher Stowe met President Lincoln after the beginning of the Civil War, he said, "So you're the little lady who started this great war." No matter what perspective or methods each abolitionist brought to the table, they all had one dream, and their dream was finally fulfilled with Lincoln's signing of the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863.
For the old man is waiting for to carry you to freedom. Follow the dream.